Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, and welcome. I'm Spencer B. Hodgetts, founder of Reboundog, the global ecosystem for social impact of human-animal bond, and I'm super excited to introduce Beth Miller, stalwart Reboundog member, and the topic of the subject today will be 2024 Giving Tuesday campaign with Wagtown and using dogs in her storybook. I will introduce Beth in a minute, and stay with us. Thank you for your patience of waiting for us to go live. Hi, and welcome back. Reboundog Sofa meetups was set up to give the opportunity for people to engage with guest speakers and specialist world-class leaders in their field. For instance, Beth, with a renowned experience of being the dog-friendly expert in the United States, because too often we find that people just talk at people and we don't have engagement from those who are less fortunate to attend conferences and so forth. Reboundog has found over the years that there's change needed in society with the relationship to dogs, and this change starts with conversations, it progresses through connections and into collaborations to create those cultures of change. And Beth is a great example of a collaboration between Reboundog and Wagtown, where Reboundog as a global platform is given the opportunity to reach out beyond Ohio with her project, and I'll let her introduce herself and tell you what she's got up her sleeve.
Up my sleeve? What?
Yeah, up your sleeve.
Hello, way over there.
Yeah, that's the way we say it over here.
Oh. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me to the sofa.
You're more than welcome.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, as Spencer mentioned, my name is Beth Miller, and I'm known as the dog-friendly expert. And I work with a company that I founded, which is a 501c3 nonprofit called Wagtown. I started that in 2016 because I wanted to move from where I am in Ohio. And when we took a look at where we wanted to move, we wanted it to be dog-friendly as one of the criterion. And we quickly discovered that the term dog-friendly in many cases doesn't really mean much. And so it really put me into this rabbit hole of learning what I can about how would you go about defining what dog-friendly means, and not only what it means now, but what are people really looking for. And as a part of that, I started to discover that there were pockets of people in our culture globally that we need to reach if we're really going to make the impact that we want to. And I think if we're talking with anybody out there who's watching this, whether you're in the nonprofit arena or if you're in economic development, travel and tourism, hospitality, bars and restaurants, you know that the dog-friendly factor is impacting all of those things, all the way from legislation to public safety and public health. So how do we take a topic that big and make it relevant for people in a way that can change lives, not only for the dogs, but for our culture and how we live with each other? Because we, as you know, we don't all agree on everything, especially these days. So as I started working on this project, it became clear to me that much like we did for recycling in the United States anyway, when my son was little, he would come home from school and, I've got my water bottle and it's like putting it into the trash can. And he's like, no. We learned in class today that you should not put it in that bin. You should put it in that bin. It'll save the planet, right? And so he learned things in the classroom that came into the living room, and it changed our whole family as a result of that. So that was sort of the springboard for my thinking on what if we could get into the classrooms and talk to those kids in a way that would help them be safe around dogs, would help them also become better humans and be more humane, so that when they grow up, they support things like what Spencer is doing, which is a global initiative to use the human-animal bond in ways through education and through initiatives and campaigns to change the world through wagging tails. So Spencer, thank you so much for having me on here so that I can talk a little bit about how my connection to you has been game-changing for me so that I can reach people all over the world. So I think you and I met through LinkedIn after Clubhouse when things started to get a little global. And it kind of expanded from there. And your message of collaboration and connections and networks globally through that bond has been a huge hit for me. So thank you for this platform today.
You're more than welcome, because that's what I set it up to do, that you can't change what we need to change individually, but together, and creating Rebound as the platform that it can go out on I'm humbled that it's working. This is showing how collaboration on a global scale can work internationally, because I'm here in the northwest UK, you're in the nearly in the northeast of the States, so we're probably 3,000-4,000 miles apart. But the impact we'll have, and the sharing that people will learn from it, or the learning people when we share this, will be at scale, will be phenomenal. And it only needs one person to learn a nugget from what your conversation might add to it, and we start to change the world. And if that's a kiddie that comes from school and says, "Oh, Mum, I heard Beth Miller talking on this. It's on Zoom or wherever it is, on YouTube or whatever," and he comes, "That's what we should be doing when we want a pet. We don't just want one because it's a fluffy, cute thing to sit on the sofa here, but it's actually that it's their relationship with animals changes." And then
Definitely.
And that's what you and I are all about, is changing the relationships that humans have with animals. Yeah. And if we can do that through a global tech platform as Reboundog, then it's great. I'm chuffed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you and I have been speaking the same language on strategy and initiative and vision. And I think that when I thought to myself, well, what could I do for Giving Tuesday, in this instance, for dogs? A lot of times it's like, what have we never done before? What could we do that's brand new? And it was like, one of the things that I used to own an ad agency for 30 years. And one of the things that I struggled with my clients to help them understand is that we're here to help you figure out what's outside the box that you could do to really be new and innovative and, set the world on fire. However, what do you already have inside the box? What have you already done? And that's when I had this aha moment of, why am I looking for something new, bright and shiny thing to chase after, when I realized I have this curriculum that I developed that's for kids K through 4. That's a week-long curriculum that walks the kids, and it's got activity extensions. It's got activities for in the classroom, take-home materials, and it's very engaging. It exceeds national teaching standards, and it's been met with rave reviews from the kids and the teachers and the families. That was actually started off as the initial nugget of that. I won a grant from the U.S. Conference of Mayors and Mars Better Cities for Pets through Mars Pet Care. And that sort of supercharged my ability to get that into the schools through PBS. So globally, that's available for free to anyone at any time through that PBS learning media. So while I was doing that with my friends Kim and Diane, Kim sent some stuff over, and we're whittling through the curriculum. And she's like, this could be a book, would be a nice addition to the curriculum. And I'm thinking, I've never written a book. I struggle with reading. It's like, how could I possibly do something like that? But it kind of got under my skin, and I thought, well, I've worked in publishing services before, and because of my ad agency background, I knew I could do design and writing, and I had resources and a network of people who could probably help me get over the pieces that I didn't know about. And so I thought, well, it's for dogs, right? So, okay, we'll go ahead and do that. So between that conversation and some collaboration with Kim and Diane, I was able to create this story. And it was a little unnerving, because it is Tucker Finds His Forever Home is this dog. Oh, here we go. Here's the book. So there's Tucker. And I was a little nervous because the book is about a dog that is abandoned, but it's because of his breed. And so at first I was like, do we really want to talk about something that heavy? It's depressing. It's kind of scary. It involves, big topics for little minds. But the more I talked with people about it, the more they were like, this is exactly what we need. We need to talk to people about that. We need to have a character like Tucker to help them understand that it's not just you go into the shelter and then somebody rescues you. It's, why were you left? What happens when you are left? What was the struggle that you had to go through that? And helping those kids understand that it's not that they stay over and then you pick them up and they live with you. It's a story of confusion for the dog, and fear and loneliness and confusion about, in Tucker's case, of why are all these people going past his cage saying, well, we don't want that dog. That's a mean dog, right? And he's in there like, I'm mean? I didn't get the memo. Right? I didn't know I was a mean dog. And so there's a little learning curve for him. And that kind of helps them understand that when the dog does come home with someone, that they have all that baggage. They've been through some things. They've seen stuff, right? And so it really got into my soul about what I was going to do with this. So I went ahead and did that. And I was lucky enough to connect with a local artist who here had also never done a children's book. So, I've got all these pictures here of, okay, well, we have to figure out, who is Tucker, right? So we've got, Tucker didn't start out looking like that. We've got this is one of the original pieces that shows what Tucker might have looked like. This was another version of that. And so it's, as you can see, it's not really like, okay, let's pull the trigger and this is what it's going to do and just head to the races. We went through many, many iterations of what Tucker could possibly look like. And, in my mind, the big thing for me is the emotion. I picked Erica as the artist because her pieces, even though they were a little more of a dark art kind of style, you could see so much emotion in that. And there was so much emotion that needed to be told in the story. So I thought, what a perfect person. And it was a stretch for her. So we kind of worked through it, and it was like, how do you take that? And so you can see just very different styles. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it ends up being the perfect thing, right? So we end up with this being the final version of who Tucker is. So it was scary, right? A lot of what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Should this be taking this long? Should I be, I don't know anything about what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, there's that little nugget that says there's something about the human-animal bond that is so important for us to communicate to these kids and to the families of those kids. So take all your fear, take all your self-doubt, that imposter syndrome, and throw it out the window and just believe you can do something like this. And so that's what I did, right? So it was scary. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, right? But here's this thing, the books are selling, and all the money that we sell the books through goes right back into making more books. So then, because, I'm an overdo it person, I'm like, well, what if we could take the curriculum that's free, get the book out to people and to the schools and to the libraries and to daycare centers and empower those people? What if we also created something from my background, which is marketing and advertising? So I created this Tucker to the Rescue. It's a Wagtown program where I basically put down in print how to create that vision campaign, how to excel in social media, how to handle public relations for a shelter or a rescue, specifically because they, generally speaking, do not have a marketing team, right? They want to put those dollars into the dogs and the animals that they're trying to save, not into marketing programs. Classic, right? I hear that all the time. So fine, I'll give it to you. So that's when I thought, well, with Giving Tuesday, listen to your own message, Beth, right? Don't go outside the box. Take a look at what you already have created and realize that now you have connections like Spencer with Reboundog and all the people that I've met through this journey, and say, what if people would buy this book, and every time they buy one, I'm going to go in and send the rescue kit and the curriculum to schools, to libraries, to the shelters, to empower those people. So the only way that I can think of to really make that work is to talk with people like you and say, hey, would you give me a stage to talk to people about this and get the books out there and get the message out there and the tools out there and get the heart of this cause into the souls of those kids so we can save more dogs?
I think it's absolutely a brilliant idea because it's a classic case of taking what you have. Yeah, and the other thing I listened to, one is, I'll come back to, is listening. That's a thing. But the other thing I was looking at is, oh, Brian's gone, how you took what you had, yeah, but then actually worked out what you could do with it. Because so often we think we've got to reinvent the wheel, and it's a bit. I'll go back to my origin story. You talked about what you did, how you came about with Tucker and Wagtown. I decided, how do I change the world with the human-animal bond? And it's either become a rescue, trainer, or whatever. I thought, no, I use my networking skills. So that's what I do. And you talked about the imposter, thinking of people who may be listening to this, watching the future. It's the imposter syndrome. I remember the first one I did of these was on Skype, and I'm the imposter because I'm not a dog rescuer, I'm not a pet advocate professional. We had the likes of Caroline Griffin in as co-founder of Show Your Soft Side, and I'm sitting there, and there's this vet, super duper vet from the UK, and those sort of people, and I thought, well, actually, I'm the imposter because I'm just playing the host on the sofa. It wasn't a sofa in those days, but it was just the fact that I had the skill to connect these people. And that's what we need to look at when we create change, or how we create change, is what inbuilt skill. You come from a marketing and advertising background. So how do you, anybody listening, watching this in the future, how do you use that inbuilt skill, whether it's, if Jodie's listening and watching in, how do you use that inbuilt skill of pet health, your knowledge of that sort of thing, to actually amplify it, and how do you scale it? And it might be through a platform like this. It might be, I'm a huge fan, as you know, this is a collaboration. How do you create collaborations with other organizations? And how do you do it? How do you do it so it's not necessarily somebody in the pet industry? How do you do it with a hotel company for wellness?
Right.
What's the value add that your product, your project adds to somebody else that helps them do what they want to achieve, whether it's United Nations Sustainability Development SDGs or the change they want to help? How does your Tucker book add value to XYZ business, organization, charity, whether they're micro or whether they're macro, whether they're in Ohio, in Dayton, or whether they're global, from the States right the way through to Australia? How do you create those collaborations? And that's what this is all about. That's what these sofa conversations about. It's inspiring people to think, how do I take what you've taken your words, how to take what I have, whether it's a book or my networking skills or whatever it is, and use it for the benefit of mankind, or dogkind, mankind, whatever. Yeah. But
I like that. I like dogkind. I think I may steal that. I love what you said about the, how do you get it out there into other industries? Because, I reached out and actually Red Roof Inn, which is an organization in the States that is hotel and restaurant kind of under that umbrella. So we've got this major brand that is already known as being dog friendly, because any animal that you bring in, you can bring your pet in there. And I think they even have a commercial where someone checks in with a horse. So they mean it when they say they're friendly. So they reach out and they ended up buying a whole bunch of books that they give out at events with a coupon inside of that people can redeem to, obviously come in and work in their hotel. And I've done a lot of, corporate social responsibility, social good, using revenue streams through entrepreneurs to add value to their own brand on that.
Yep.
Well, just from that collaboration, which already got us in front of kids in markets where we weren't, and they already had a collaboration with a guy named Shorty who does pit bull and bully rescue on the streets in Mexico. So he's working with street dogs. So he ends up buying another 50 books to take with him to another country to talk with those kids. And now he wants to do that in other languages. So it's, right, just that one little nugget of, could I read a book? Now all of a sudden there's a book about breed discrimination from some chick in Ohio down in Mexico with an advocate who's going down there back and forth and making this huge difference. And it's all because I decided to say to my imposter syndrome, shut up, sit down. This is for dogs. It's time to just go ahead and believe in yourself a little bit. And now it's out there, right? And then there's this nugget, to your point. I know you love to use the word nugget, right? So we've got this nugget of caring and good. And when you show people that it does make sense to take that entrepreneurial spirit and pair it with social enterprise, to put those two pieces together, and all of a sudden have exponentialized the brand on the for-profit side while making a huge impact on the not-for-profit side, because then you've given credibility to that organization or to those rescue people or the advocates or your members in Reboundog. And it's sort of an affirmation that they can make that difference. So I know, you've got a huge network of people that you're talking to, and I'm going to be spreading this message out to people and sharing this video. And I hope that people understand that they, at this time, Giving Tuesday and beyond that, believe that you can do this. Take a look at what you already have in your basket of accomplishments and pull it out and say, what would be applicable here? What would resonate with the people in my network? So I knew that when I called you and said, hey, do you want to talk about Giving Tuesday and the Tucker book and see if that would resonate with your audience? You were immediately saying, yes, this is what Reboundog is here for. How can I help you expand your message? And now here we are. So yeah, I'm very excited about this conversation.
I am, because I saw the potential of what you wanted to do with it, because that's the way my brain works, in networks, and I saw the potential. But it's also this thing you've touched on about, Beth, is not only the belief in yourself of what you can do, but it's so often in business as an entrepreneur, even as a non-profit, we think we have to achieve so much by such a date. We have to do X, Y, Z, whatever by a certain timeline, and we don't trust ourselves. We don't have the trust in ourselves to actually go and start something. And it's that, there's an old Zen saying, is the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And it's the same with a project, whether it's a non-profit, it's the same with an entrepreneur, whether it's a social entrepreneurial, and it's the same thing. You're a wonderful example of what can be achieved, because you've gone, oh, I don't write books. I can't write books. I failed all my English qualifications in school. I don't write. I write blogs, but I don't write. So but it's taking that trust in yourself. I trusted myself that I could do something as a global network. You've trusted yourself you can do something with a book for pet advocacy in schools or in children. But you didn't know that guy in Mexico was going to do something with it and want it translated. Yeah? But it's that unseen scalability, for want of a word, that we don't know it's going to happen. And until we keep sowing those seeds, showing my horticultural background, we don't know which one is that. If you think of it sowing sunflower seeds and you throw a packet of sunflower seeds out on the garden, you don't know which one's going to bloom into the flower that's that size, or just wilt and go drop down. But it's that one that does this and turns around to the sun as phototropic and go boing, and it sows. And what it does, if it does that when it sets seeds, it sows another 1,000 seeds. And that's exactly what you're doing. And that's what networking is about. That's what philanthropic work is about. And that's what you're doing with this, because you've gone from a research project on your funded thing through Mars, but you've actually taken it, I'll be polite, you had the guts to write a book, find people who can do the artwork, and then just keep believing in it. So you're playing with it all the time, and you're not fixed on, oh, I must sell 10,000 books tomorrow on Amazon for giving. It's not about that. It's about the change that your book will inspire in somebody. And it could be somebody that's three steps away in a network from the guy in Mexico. But that might come. Exactly. But that guy in Mexico will probably have a connection in California. It'll have a connection in England, in Europe, and it snowballs. Yep. And it's that long-term game. I've always said networking is long-term game. It's not my phrase. It's long-term game, networking with long-term people. And this is what you and I are all about. It's this long-term people. Yeah. We don't create collaborations overnight and save 10,000 dogs. It doesn't work like that. But it's the seeds we're using my botany. It's the seeds we're sowing. So your book is a seed, and somebody will open that book one day and go, "Wow, ooh, that's what it does."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. You put it so well, and that's when I meet a kid who has read my book. I was at an event a couple of years ago. And this little girl walks up with, she's kind of hiding behind her mom's hip, and she peeks her head out and she goes, "My daughter wants to meet you. She has your book and she reads it every night and she loves it. Could you say hi to her?" And it was like, and then to listen to that little girl talk about how much she loves it and that she reads it to her dog. And, you can see that there's something in that girl's heart now that was made possible because of just a love of a dog. I love dogs. I always have loved animals. And that love for things other than human gave me the courage to say, all right, I'll go ahead and try this, right? And then push through the self-doubt and push through all the hardship of getting a book published. And it really pays off when you meet that little girl at a party, because that's how we change things, is one little girl, mind and heart invested in that at a time. So, and, people like you make that possible. So thank you.
You're welcome. I just enjoy being of service, but it's that. I remember you and I had conversations before this call many times in workshops and things, and we've all come to realize that it's not just trying to change my generation of attitude to animals and how we behave and own them. It's changing that little girl down here. It's that, what we call primary school. It's that 3 to 5 year old, of how they have a relationship with an animal, whether it's a wild animal or a domestic pet, rescue or board. They are the ones. It's not even what you now call the Gen Alpha. the ones that are born after 2010. It's the generation,
Right.
yes, they're part of the solution, but it's the generation that follows after them, whatever they're going to be called, yeah,
Right.
that will start. This is where the work that you and I are doing, that's where the impact will show, is how they start to have a relationship with animals and respect and treat them as sentient beings and so forth. That's the difference. So it comes back to my comment. It is a long-term game. That's, yeah, I think what you're doing is brilliant, which is why I was quite happy to have you on the first
Thank you.
live sofa meetup.
Yeah, it's when people come in and they buy that book, like I said, if you please buy the book, because when you buy the book goes to someone who's going to have a mind change and a heart change. But also when that book goes out, these other materials, the rescue support piece goes out to the rescues and the shelters and daycares, and the curriculum goes to new schools to see those kids learning and understanding what it means to grow up to be a humane person. Keeping in mind that these kids, they've grown up in a culture where dogs are friendly and family. I didn't. I grew up where they were owned, right? So
Yes.
It was a very different mindset. Now we're talking about kids who start from scratch at Dogs Are Family. So the potential for them to do good, they just need a little nudge. They just need a little inspiration. And if we can supply that inspiration through the book, but then also say, okay, let's take that times 3. Let's support the shelters. Let's support the schools. Let's support the libraries along with that purchase. That to me is where I got really excited about the possibility of, yeah, you can sell a book, but what if it was something that every time a book sells, there's this bigger ripple in the pond? And so, having the opportunity to come out here and, not to use a dog training term, but beg people to get it out there and help me get the word out there is super valuable to me. So thank you again.
But it's also this thing where the book isn't just the book on its own. It's the catalyst. It goes back to this sunflower thing. The book becomes the catalyst that allows your curriculum and your rescue services to actually support program to actually get out there. So it goes beyond bigger than the book. It does it 3 times the effect, and the 3 times multiple becomes even larger.
Yeah. I mean, people, if you're listening to Spencer talk right now, do not underestimate your ability to change things. Do not think that you cannot do this. You can. And whether it's doing it yourself or doing something like this or joining Reboundog, there is an impact to be made, and you are a part of that ripple. So yeah, go for it. Go for it. Do it. The dogs are sitting there at your feet, waiting, looking up at you going, I love you unconditionally, and that ain't going to stop. So now it's time to start believing in yourself, right? Write that book, go volunteer, adopt a dog, teach a class, start a business, and make sure that you infuse some kind of social responsibility in there. Because I can tell you without a doubt that if you have a business that is for profit and you are not integrating some kind of social good into your brand, I don't want to say you're an idiot, but you're an idiot. So, you have to take advantage of every opportunity to increase revenue and increase your brand power. Why wouldn't you jump at the chance to say, if I can insert some kind of corporate social responsibility message into my brand, I'm going to have increased brand loyalty. I can charge more for my product. I can reach a bigger audience. And, I'm here to tell you that, dogs are a good angle, right? Human-animal bond, that resonates with more people than you realize. And the dollars follow dogs is a real thing. So yeah, it's a good business decision, and it's a great decision as just being a good human.
I haven't got the stats in front of me. Going back to this what you call Gen Z and we call Gen Z, is it something like 30%? They prefer to buy off a business that does social good rather than it's a proven fact. And you talked about family.
What's that?
And also, there's data that shows that because they have children later or don't have children, you talked about pets as family, they are treating the children, the dogs, in that light. So they're spending more. So if you can create a business that does social good, creates social impact as a social entrepreneur, whether it's for-profit or non-profit, and as a for-profit, it's easy to attract staff, retain them. They want to work for you. It's easy to get your message out. because you get customer loyalty, you also get supplier loyalty. So the suppliers go back to culture. The suppliers understand the culture of your business, and that's what this is all about. It's culture change.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's wonderful. How are we doing for time? I shouldn't ask online, but this is a trial one, so it's my show.
10 past 7.
Okay, I'll probably wrap it up in a minute. I'll wrap it up on 1:15. This is recorded thanks to Ben Phoenix, who's off-screen recording. We're going to share all those who've registered to attend. I'll share the recording link with. We will look to continue this conversation. The next conversation on the Reboundog Sofa will be with Deborah Hamilton on the 11th of December, looking at weeding your garden. So as an adjective, so how you create culture change in your employed environment and so forth. That's the next one coming up. There are two Reboundog global networking events on G-Meets, one on the 24th and one on the Thursday after, which I think is the 28th. So you can come and participate in conversations, but they're not networking for business growth where you give your business card out all the time. They're looking at networking, as Beth and I have talked about, how we can create networks of people so we network on purpose and for a reason, so we're creating social change. So I'm going to say thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Beth, for attending and braving the snowstorm coming back from New York, and for Tom for driving you.
It was a crazy week, but it was worth it. It was honored to be a part of this. Knowing that Deborah's coming up, people are listening. You should come back for the Deborah episode because she is amazing. So yeah,
yes,
fascinating.
So I'm going to apologise to everybody that went late half an hour, late half an hour, but that's what happens with snowstorms and new tech. So we'll get used to it. So thank you for your patience and thank you for being here. It's been a great conversation. We should do it again, and we should chat about. Yeah, we'll do it again soon. It's been great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and keep wagging.
We will keep wagging. Okay, and we'll keep rebounding as well.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay.